Come on, fly! Come on! Aw, climb in, Aunt Lee.
Hello, Israel.
Hello, Mr. Franklin, sir.
What are you trying to do, lad?
Make electricity like you said.
You need a rainstorm to make electricity.
Oh, I forgot.
It's been my contention, it's been my belief that perhaps tie a piece of metal at the top of the kite to help attract the electricity to it. Of course, I don't know what these experiments will lead to, but this might be something considerable. They may help to make a vain man humble.
You wouldn't mind telling me the story again, would you?
Well, if you think it bears repeating.
Well, sure, if I'm supposed to make electricity.
Well, I was too embarrassed to walk around Philadelphia carrying a child's kite, so I decided to take my son William with me.
So they wouldn't think you turned childish.
Exactly. Well, we tied a piece of metal to the top of the kite, put a metal key at the bottom on the string, and off we went into the country.
So people wouldn't think.
People wouldn't think that I had turned...
Childish.
Exactly. Well, in the rainstorm, the string got wet, and the electricity passed over it. The kite got up in the rain cloud. The electricity was attracted to the piece of metal. It came down through the string, touched the metal key at the bottom,
And sparks.
Exactly.
As soon as it rains, can we make electricity?
I don't see why not, Master Boone.
Mr. Franklin, Mr. Franklin.
Yes, Sally, yes?
Oh, Mr. Franklin, the soldiers, they've come to the house.
Calmly, Sally, calmly. Come along, children, come along.
I'm afraid the sight of so many uniforms upset her, Mr. Franklin. No harm intended.
Just what is intended, Sergeant?
We've come to take your printing press away from you, sir. And if you try to stop us, my orders are to arrest you.
Daniel Boone was a man, yes, a big man. With an eye like an eagle and as tall as a mountain was he. Daniel Boone was a man, yes, a big man. He was brave, he was fearless, and as tough as a mighty oak tree. From the coonskin cap on the top of old Dan to the heel of his rawhide shoe, the rippin'est, roaring'est, fighting'est man the frontier ever knew. Daniel Boone was a man, yes, a big man, and he fought for America to make all Americans free. Daniel Boone.
And furthermore, for printing and causing to be circulated in and around the colony of Pennsylvania such seditious, inflammatory, and rebellious pamphlets, it is the decision of the colonial governor that His Majesty's troops shall be directed to confiscate said printing press until further notice. Signed, the Honorable William Denny, His Majesty's Governor of Pennsylvania.
You know, Sergeant, if Your Majesty continues to treat us as treacherous, conspiring rebels, he may prove himself to be right.
I'm only doing my job, sir.
Yes, of course you are.
Hey, you watch where you're going. All right, get this wagon rolling.
Now, Daniel, you heard, eh?
Yep.
Hey, Paul, where's Cully and Walt? And the others? The wagon, the supplies.
Well, we can't get them without English pounds. They stopped me at the warehouse. Said there's a new law. You can't buy any supplies with furs or anything unless you use their currency.
What?
No pounds, no supplies.
What are we going to do, Paul?
Do? I'll tell you what we're going to do, young sir. We're going to sit down and think this thing through. Now, this has been a very bad day for both of us, Daniel. In fact, the only encouraging thing about it is the ham that you brought for dinner. Well, many a meal has been lost for want of meat. Come along, son. Come along. Now, the outposts of the colony are hotbeds for insurrection and rebelliousness, which would be better off abandoned before they become arsenals for the rebel army. So Governor Denny was heard to say one evening last week. I presume that's what was on the governor's mind when he ordered His Majesty's warehouses to accept only British pounds for supplies.
They mean to starve us out, to force us out.
Yes. Yes, very much so.
But why, Pa?
Well, Israel, I reckon they're afraid we're against them.
Well, it's utterly ridiculous, you see. Because on one hand, England won't permit us to manufacture the goods we need for ourselves, and...
Why not, sir?
Well, because they want us to use the goods that they manufacture.
Which we'd be more than happy to buy.
Yes. Yes, we would. Well, I wish there was some way I could help you, Daniel.
I understand. You could help me a great deal if you would permit Israel to stay with you a couple of days.
Well, I'd be delighted to, of course. But what will you do, Daniel?
People are waiting for those supplies.
Yes. Yes, of course they are. Of course. Well, it's getting quite past my bedtime. I presume you'll want to discuss your long journey with your son?
Yes, sir, indeed I will. Now, you're sure about it?
Oh, no trouble. No trouble at all. It's a pleasure having him here, actually. Well, good night to you both.
Good night, Doctor.
Night, Doctor.
Good night.
Now, Israel, you're going to behave yourself, because Dr. Franklin is getting home.
Yes, Pa.
I'll be back before sundown tomorrow.
Pa, isn't this a wonderful house? I mean, there's so many rooms and windows and everything.
Yes, it does make our cabin look a mite plain and simple.
I didn't mean that.
I know. Why don't you and I get a little sleep?
All right. Give me it!
Master Boone, please, I must do my work.
But we're
Hey?
your guests.
Mr. Franklin, sir.
Well, accidents will happen, eh? No matter.
I'm sorry, sir. You can deduct it from my wages.
But it was my fault, sir. I have to do my chores.
Chores?
He thinks he has to do chores, sir, like a servant or something. I've tried to tell him he and his father were your guests, and
No matter. I have to do my chores.
you see, sir, that's how all this happened. We was fighting over who does the cleaning of the china.
She's right, Master Boone. You and your father are my guests here, you know.
I know. We've been other people's guests before. I know all about that. We've had people guest at our house, too. Lots of times, more than I can count. We have. You can ask anybody. Anyways, we're your guests, and I have to do my chores. That's just the way it is. You gotta help out the people who help you with your food and lodging.
I see.
It's just good manners, my ma says. Everyone does chores for them who help out with the food and lodging where I come from. Understand?
Yeah, she understands, Master Boone, and so do I. We all know that people from the southern colonies have a reputation for good manners. It's all right, Sally. It's all right.
Yes, sir.
Well, young Master Boone, let's see if we can find some work. I mean, chores for you to do, eh?
Good. What are they?
Well, let me see. Oh, the kite. Do you realize, young sir, that I'm responsible for many more things than just pulling electricity out of the air?
I think I heard my pa say something about a stove.
Yes, I invented a great warming stove that circulated heat about the room. I started the Lending Library, the Philosophical Society. I founded the university. I was clerk of the Pennsylvania Assembly. I started the fire insurance companies, the fire brigade. I was postmaster for the colonies for many years. Why, do you know that I even taught swimming? Did you know that?
No. Why'd they take your printing press away?
Well, I guess they didn't like what I was writing about their king and his venal parliament and how they were trying to govern us.
Oh,
Yes.
I see.
Yeah, quite.
Will they ever bring it back?
Oh, yes, I guess so. They usually do after a spell.
When?
Oh, in about a month or two, I should imagine.
Oh.
You interested in printing, young Master Boone? Yes, this is where my printing press stood before they took it away.
Her?
Yes, the female pronoun is always bestowed upon man's favorite things, Israel, the things he loves the most and he cannot do without. A sailing ship is called she. She takes the waves gracefully, sailors are heard to say. A good carriage is she, a good rifle is she. And my printing press is as temperamental and as delicate and capable of doing beautiful things as is a lovely woman.
But why?
Well, you'll understand when you get older, son. Well, my press stood here, as I said, and they call it a press because, in fact, the blank paper is pressed up against the blocked ink. The same way that a wine press squeezes the juice out of grapes, or a cheese press... Wait a moment. My printing press works the same way that this cheese press works. As a matter of fact, if I wanted to, I could probably get this thing to work.
We could?
Yes. It would take a little fixing, of course. Well, the cheese press doesn't come down low enough, but we could put wooden blocks in here to raise it up, and then the type would be locked in. We could slip a piece of metal between the paper and the type. We would have a uniform impression, and therefore we could print.
You could?
Yes. Would you like to see your name in print?
You bet.
All right, come along, then. Come along, Israel. Yes, now, if we were to print your name the same way that it was pronounced, it would come out Enoob Lircy.
What?
That's right. If we were to print your name the way that it was actually spelled, it would be Enoob Lircy.
Enoob Lircy? But you spelled my name upside down and backwards, too.
Upside down and backwards. Come around and look.
Oh, I see. Now my name is spelled right. And you have to put everything, all the letters and words, upside down and backwards before you can print them?
Everything.
Can you really get that to work like a printing press?
Yes, I think so. With a little ingenuity, which in all immodesty I admit to having.
Could you please, I consider it a big favor, print my name on a piece of paper? You see, I've never seen my name printed before. I'd keep it forever and I'd take it wherever I go.
Well,
You can't really get it to work, can you?
yes. Yes, I think I can, young man, but the insurmountable problem is that we have no ink.
No ink?
No ink. You saw the soldiers pouring the ink out of the bottles when they took away the printing press.
Yes, but can't you just go to a store and buy some?
No, the ink comes from England, and they keep it under lock and key. And they give it only to printers who promise not to print rebellious or seditious pamphlets.
Oh.
I've been experimenting with several recipes for ink, but unfortunately, I've not been very successful. I've tried everything, but nothing seems to work. The ink isn't black enough. I've used rainwater and alum, and gum arabic, sugar, logwood chips. I've boiled it and strained it, but nothing seems to work. It doesn't hold the paper. The black just seems to fade away.
Oh.
I've tried everything, Israel, everything. Tapwood roots, powdered rocks, certain kinds of earth, but...
It all fades away.
Yes.
I guess I better get back with my chores.
I'm sorry, Master Boone.
That's all right, Mr. Franklin, sir. Pa!
Pedro, you been behaving yourself?
Yes, Pa, honest.
That's good. I'd like to talk with Dr. Franklin.
Yes, Pa.
Well, have you devised a plan?
We've arranged for a fire.
A fire?
There's a wreck of an old hull tied alongside the wharf right next to one of His Majesty's schooners. While the guards are trying to put out the fire, we'll be loading a wagon. We have a fair chance of making it.
Do you realize how many garrisons of troops there are between here and the Cumberland Gap, Daniel?
Yes, I do, and we'll have to take the long way around. Of course, we'll just be traveling at night.
It sounds risky to me, Daniel. Very risky indeed.
Once we have the wagon loaded, the men are on their way, I'll come back for Israel.
Getting those supplies out of here and taking them past the guards is a very dangerous plan, Daniel.
Well, if there's some other way to do it, Dr. Franklin, I'll do it.
I shouldn't be laughing, I guess. It's my work you're doing for me, Master Boone, for which I thank you.
Well, what have we got here, eh?
Just doing my chores, Mr. Franklin.
You seem to be doing more than your chores, young Master Boone.
Well, now, he's able to do a full day's work, Dr. Franklin. Don't be discouraging him.
Excuse me.
There's nothing so black as lampblack. Daniel, go out and get your supplies. Get a whole wagon load of supplies, and with money.
Money? Well, where are we going to get it?
We're going to print our own.
But I thought...
No, they may have taken away my printing press. But they didn't take away my cheese press. Put it right here, Daniel, right here.
What about the ink? You said yourself, sir, that...
Well, lampblack is the answer to making ink black, young man. You gave me the idea yourself.
But will it work?
Well, I believe so. I don't think there's any reason why it shouldn't.
Dr. Franklin, you said those supplies were for British citizens only, and important ones at that.
Yes, well, as long as I'm counterfeiting money, I may as well counterfeit papers for you, too, to identify you as the steward and the purchasing agent for the estate of the Earl of Norwich, a kindly English gentleman who lives some 40 miles south of the city.
What does counterfeiting mean?
Bogus, fake, made to look authentic, but in actuality, it's worth nothing. Now, Israel, I want you to gather all the lamps in the house and light them right away.
Wouldn't it be strange if somebody walked in and saw the lamps lit and the sun's right overhead?
Here's we'll do what Dr. Franklin said, and right away.
Think it'll work, Pa? Think you can really make money?
What's that? What's that you're whispering over there, young man?
Nothing, sir.
Think I'm a foolish old man, do you, huh?
No, sir.
Huh? Don't think I could print money like this, do you, huh?
Well,
And don't forget, young man, I am the man who brought the electrical fire from the sky.
yes, sir.
With all due respects, Dr. Franklin, I have my doubts.
Daniel, I can hold my own with the best of those counterfeiters. When I first learned the printing and engraving business, I copied and copied and copied everything that I could get my hands on until I learned how it was all actually done. But the ink...
It's beginning to look like ink.
Well, I hope so. As a matter of fact, I'm always very enthusiastic about my discoveries, until I discover that some of them don't actually work. I didn't want to dampen Israel's spirits. But several months ago, I hit upon the idea of using black beetles to color ink. People thought I was daft, of course. I sent Sally and her family out scouting all over Philadelphia, buying up all the black beetles they could find. I used several hundred of them. I must admit, I felt rather like a monster drowning all those poor black beetles for nothing. By George, if I were any younger, I'd have quite a career as a counterfeiter.
It's perfect to me. How many are you going to make?
How many do you want? I would have preferred that it hadn't rained tonight. Might prevent this ink from drying quickly.
Well, I'm sure they'll dry just fine. What's the matter, son?
Nothing, Pa.
Oh, just hungry, I'll wager. Say, did I tell you about all the work, I mean chores, that your young man did for me here today?
Yes, sir, you did.
He does you honor, Daniel.
Israel, where are you matter, son?
Sorry, Mr. Franklin, sir.
Smells like that supper's almost ready. Come on. Delightfully savory, this smoked ham from your part of the country, Daniel. I shall make it last indefinitely. Yes, indeed. Next, I shall cook it in Madeira. I shall cook it in Madeira and call it ham bayonnaise. Then perhaps with brandy, known to ham lovers the world over as ham chambretin. Then perhaps with braised sauerkraut, sausages, and potatoes. And I shall call it ham à la saucienne. And then finally, I shall have ham and pastry, covered all over with pâté de foie gras and truffles, and wrapped in dough and baked. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed, Master Boone. There are many adventurous ways one can cook foods. Mark my word.
Yes, sir.
Israel, is that all you can say?
What you said? I'm only used to having ham one or two ways. With lima beans or without lima beans. I'm sorry, Pa. Making money, counterfeit money. It's dishonest, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, it is illegal and dishonest, sir.
We shouldn't do it, should we?
Israel, they're trying to squeeze us out of our homes. You know how badly we need the powder and lead and supplies, and the only place we can get it is from the British. You understand?
Yes, sir, but... I'm sorry, but you always told me never to do anything if it was dishonest.
Son, it is true, if I buy supplies with counterfeit money, that I will be cheating the British Army out of money. But you and I both know that we've got to get those supplies.
Yes, sir. But it's dishonest.
Master Boone, I believe you have pointed out, how shall we say, an embarrassing flaw in our plan.
Sorry, Mr. Franklin, sir.
That's quite all right, young man. You were quite right to bring it up. I'm glad that you did. I'm proud of you. And as I said before, you do your father honor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Franklin, sir.
And I believe the only way to correct this dishonest thing we are doing is to keep track of the serial numbers as we put them on the bills.
Serial numbers?
Yes, and after we've gotten this ridiculous law abolished, we shall approach everyone holding these counterfeit notes and exchange them for real money. And upon that, sir, I give you my word.
We can leave the furs with Dr. Franklin, and if there's not any real money, he can use the furs.
Now it's honest.
Quite so, sir. Quite so.
Excuse me, sir, but there's some men out back, dressed in buckskin, asked to see Mr. Boone.
It'd be Cully and the boys. Let's go out, Israel, and tell them about the change in plans. No, they want to see you.
Well, I shall want to see them too, Daniel. Speaking of buckskin, you'll be needing city clothes, won't you? Oh, mine won't do. Mine won't do at all, Daniel. Oh.
Follow me, sir. Beg your pardon, Quartermaster.
Quite proper, quite proper. How is his lordship the Earl these days?
The Earl, fair, just fair.
Now, what's this? 10 barrels of gunpowder? What's his lordship going to do? Blow up the old south of Pennsylvania? What does he need with all that powder?
Oh, tree stumps. The meadows are full of stumps, and the Earl told me to blast them out, and blast them out I will. But that takes powder, and lots of it.
I see. You'd better inform His Majesty's troops in your village what you're going to do, so they don't think you've started a war.
I'll do just that.
Good. I'll try to get you loaded up in time to leave first thing in the morning.
Well, with all due respect, Quartermaster, I have to be back tomorrow midday at the latest. Those were my orders. I don't mind helping your men load my wagon, but we have to do it now.
Now? Well, that's terribly inconvenient, Mr. Wharton. That's most inconvenient. You see, there's a bloody inspection here today. Captain Zerlo takes a fit, he does, if this place isn't looking neat and tidy. And if I were to take my men away from the cleaning to fill your order.
Well, I wish I could wait, but I can't. Perhaps if I spoke to Captain Thurlow. I've heard the Earl speak of him many times.
Oh, no. No, sir, that won't be necessary. No, we'll have your order filled on the double. Smythe! I'll just figure out your charges, sir, and we'll have the wagon loaded in a shake. Smythe, where are you, man?
Sir?
Here, have this order filled at once for Lord Norwich's man here.
Yes, sir.
My wagon is right out in front.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's all, Smythe. That's all. Be off, man. Tilson, that's enough. Go give them a hand with the order.
Yes, sir.
Would you like a sweet, sir?
Oh, no, thank you, Quartermaster.
Why don't you sit down, sir? It will take them a little while, of course, to get the wagon loaded.
Well, thank you, but I should go out and see if the wagon is loaded properly. It's a long trip, especially at night.
Oh, right you are, sir. That's a much better idea, quite.
I'll be back in to pay after the wagon is loaded.
Fine, sir. Right you are, sir. Whatever you say, sir. But please don't be having any talks with Captain Thurlow. Life is difficult enough here in the colonies without any trouble the likes of that.
And then what happened, young man?
Well, I picked me up a branch from the closest tree, and then I whopped that bar on the nose every time he came close. I finally got the idea I wasn't going to be his dinner. Then he walked away, rubbing his nose all the way.
That's amazing, amazing. You know, I've never even seen a bear. Can you believe that?
You haven't?
Mr. Wharton? Mr. Wharton, sir. The bill for your supplies. Quartermaster Owens has it all prepared.
Yeah, sure.
Well, that didn't take long now, did it, sir? Lord Norwich will have his supplies by midday tomorrow for certain.
Oh, that looks fine. That looks just about right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Colonel.
One moment, sir. You don't want to go back to Lord Norwich without me marking the order paid in full, do you? Your governor wouldn't like that one bit, now would he?
No, he wouldn't.
There you are. There you are, sir.
Thank you, Quartermaster.
All right, men, in here.
Mr. Wharton, stop! Compliments of Quartermaster Owens, sir, but you've paid £5 too much for the goods you've got.
Too much. You're certain?
Yeah, Quartermaster Owens counted it over 3 times. He did.
Why don't you give this £5 note back to Quartermaster Owens as a proper reward for his honesty and tell him I suggested share it with all of you men.
Well, thank you, sir. That's very generous. I'm sure, Mr. Wharton. Thank you, sir.
Not bad, Quartermaster at Arms. Not bad at all. Sergeant Ridley. Ah! Put Corporal Smythe down on report for being late for inspection. Yes, sir.
Sorry, sir.
What have we here, Sergeant Ridley? A chimney sweep in our midst. Salute the sergeant, Corporal Smythe.
Pretty filthy, I'd say, sir.
Filthy. Well, I'll be tipped.
Rather disappointing, Quartermaster. Smythe turning out like a gutter snipe.
Shocking, sir.
Quite. Well, let's hope the supplies are neat and trim.
Yes, sir.
Quartermaster at Arms.
Yes, sir.
Your hand, sir. It's filthier than Smythe's. I can't believe my eyes, sir.
I can't believe my eyes either, sir.
It seems that you two have had your hands in the same chimney.
What have you touched that I have, too?
Nothing, sir. Except
What's this?
Mr. Wharton insisted I give it back to you.
Mr. Wharton?
The steward of your friend, sir, Lord Norwich.
Lord Norwich's steward's name is Browley, not Wharton. Fresh, homemade 5-pounders, Quartermaster.
Oh, that can't be, sir. Mr. Wharton's. Get me the cash box, Smythe.
I told you Lord Norwich's steward's name is Browley. Who's this fellow you keep calling Wharton?
I told you, sir. Sergeant Ridley. You saw him, the tall fellow. He was leaving just as you came in.
Yes, the tall man. Yes, I've seen him before, somewhere, sir.
That man gave me counterfeit money for the supply, sir.
Counterfeiting the king's money is a hanging offense, Quartermaster Owens.
Smythe, take 5 men, run down that man who stole the king's supplies with counterfeit money. You know what he looks like.
Yes, sir. Go with them, Sergeant Ridley.
Yes, sir.
We can't have a counterfeiter roaming around the countryside with a wagon load of His Majesty's supplies now, can we, Quartermaster?
No, sir.
Dismiss the inspection.
Yes, sir.
Well, what are you printing there, young Master Boone?
Begging your pardon, Mr. Franklin, sir, but you'd laugh.
Oh?
Well, you'd have the right to laugh, too.
Very well. Very well, young man. I was only trying to be of some assistance.
You know, sir, half the fun of printing is doing it yourself.
I understand, son. If my youngest son, Francis, had lived, he would have probably have said the same thing.
Sorry, sir. Guess I wasn't being very neighborly.
Well, let's see what you've printed then. Ah, Israel is the best shot in Boonesboro, eh?
I told you. Stupid.
No, not at all, not at all. It's a marvelous beginning, actually. Shows boldness, a certain immodesty, a quality which is very much admired in the communities on the frontier like Boonesboro.
Thank you, sir.
You miss your home, do you?
Yes, sir.
Well, I understand. But you know, it's quite wonderful here in Philadelphia, Israel. All the great ships tying up at the wharves, and people from all the different countries of the world. Well, you'll be home soon, son. You'll be home soon.
Let's have those fresh horses, Cully, and fast.
We just about gave you up.
Oh, it's all there, Cully.
Looks like these horses have been running away from something.
They don't say. Walt, you better keep an eye peeled.
You got a barrel full of soldiers on your tail, then?
Only 6 or 7.
That's about 2 each.
Not this time, because you're going to be hightailing it through the Cumberland Gap. Tell Rebecca it isn't allowed to be along in a couple of days.
And you better not come back wearing those clothes.
Hell!
There he is! After him! That's him, all right. What about the wagon?
I must have broken down somewhere. We'll see it better in daylight.
We can't get the horses through that thicket.
Then we'll follow on foot. Dismount. Two of you stay here and look after the horses. The rest of you, sit down, get after him. I know where I've seen that man before. At Benjamin Franklin's house. He's a friend of Franklin's. I better tell Captain Tuttle.
Well, how did you like that ham au bayonnaise, young Mr. Boone, eh?
It's almost as good as with lima beans.
Well, we'll clean up in here tomorrow, Israel. It's quite past your bedtime, you know. I wasn't expecting anybody. Who can that be? Stay in here, Israel. Stay here. Answer the door, Sally.
Yes, sir.
Good evening. Please tell Mr. Franklin that I'd like to see him, would you?
Tell him yourself, Captain.
Quite. Sergeant Ridley. Sir. Remain here and permit no one to leave the premises.
Yes, sir. All right, you two, round to the back. Keep an eye on the back door. This young lady will show you the way, won't you?
It's all right, Sally. It's all right.
Yes, sir.
Come along, Captain.
A man appeared at His Majesty's warehouse at the wharf today and purchased supplies with counterfeit currency, Dr. Franklin.
How enterprising of him, Captain.
A hanging matter, Dr. Franklin. My man Ridley identified the man as a fellow seen entering your house. A man you addressed as your friend. He cannot, however, recall the name by which you addressed him. He was accompanied by a young boy, Ridley recalled.
That would have been Tompkins, a friend of my son's who was bringing my grandson to visit with me. Your man Ridley has a very good memory, Captain.
Sergeant Ridley!
Yes, sir.
Was the man's name Tompkins?
No, sir.
Search the house, Sergeant Ridley.
Yes, sir.
Now, look here, Captain. You've got no right to be breaking in here.
Perhaps Ridley's memory is better than yours, Dr. Franklin.
I shall see to it that your superiors hear about this illegal conduct of yours by tomorrow morning's mail.
Your contempt for His Majesty's administration of these colonies is well known, sir. I may be a bit brash, but I remain quite logical. Of all the men in Philadelphia, you were the most likely to have printed such counterfeit notes.
I take that as a compliment, Captain.
May I remind you, sir, this is not quite the same thing as printing those annoyingly slanderous seditious pamphlets. Printing the king's money without his permission is likely to be taken far more seriously by the crown than mudslinging.
Very well, I confess. Take me to the stockade.
I am not amused, sir.
No, I confess, Captain. To err is human, to repent divine, to persist devilish.
Really, sir?
Well, you're going to take me or not?
You're too eager, sir.
Sir, no man, no boy, no printing press. We've searched every room in the house except the one across the hall. It's locked.
Will you open it, sir?
Well, if you want my confession, Captain, I demand that you take me to the stockade right now.
Then we shall have to knock it down.
I will confess to counterfeiting those notes, Captain, only to Governor Denny himself.
What are you trying to hide in here, sir?
Nothing, sir. That is my workroom where I do my experiments. Sergeant Ridley's memory is so good, perhaps he can describe it to you.
Will you or will you not open it, sir?
If you forcibly enter that room, I will confess to nothing.
Do you actually expect me to believe that you will confess? Really, sir, I've read your pamphlets. I wouldn't for a minute allow you to attempt any of your tricks on me. Knock it down. You were trying to trick me, weren't you, sir? Into a false arrest without evidence. Could have forced me to resign my commission, sir.
Yes, Captain. I should probably have had a full account of it published in the London newspapers. It's such a sad commentary on the Times, that seems to be the only amusement left to me today.
I think it only fair to warn you, sir, that that day is not far off when crimes against the crown will be reason enough to silence the guilty parties permanently, regardless of their influence and popularity in high places.
I take it that means you will return my printing press in time for me to have the honor of being the first man permanently silenced for my country?
Would like to, sir.
Well, they're gone. The supplies are on the way to Boonesboro.
Excellent.
Where's Israel?
Well, I don't know.
You mean you don't know where he is?
No. I left him in here when the soldiers arrived. Everything we were using to print the notes was scattered all over the room. When the soldiers broke in, I expected they would find Israel here and all the evidence, but he must have cleaned it up, as you can see. Evidently, the boys cleaned it up. But I don't know where he is.
Israel? I taught him to hide in the chimneys during Indian attacks.
This enough? Yes, sir?
You know, it's awfully nice of you to be helping Israel like this, but I do hope you leave something for him to do.
Oh, no, ma'am. I'm doing them all today. And tomorrow. And the rest of the week.
The rest of the week?
Yes, sir.
Say, it's very friendly of you to help Israel this way, especially after the disagreement you had, but...
Well, why are you doing them, Zeke?
Yes, why?
For money.
Money? What money? An Israel Boone £1 note?
It's signed with Benjamin Franklin and has a real serial number on it.
Israel?